Joe Mueller, do we have an update from the Planning Commission?
Sure. So last night, speaking of things that are happening, we had a discussion of the state density bonus law as it relates to housing. And it has changed quite a bit over the last couple of years. And we're now starting to see projects come in that are taking full use of it. For example, if it's 100% affordable project, it's now allowed to get an 80% density bonus. So if you're at 20 units to the acre, you're now at 36 units to the acre. And we've got 2 projects in town that are taking advantage of that. When you're at that level, there's 4 concessions or incentives, as they're sometimes referred to, that project is up to get. And they can ask for things that go against what we would normally request them to do, as long as they say that they reduce the cost of the project and make it affordable to build. And our ability to say no to that is very limited. Okay? So the way the law is written, we have to give the concessions because they're at 100% affordable. They're very low. In addition to that, there's something called a waiver. If you go into our development standards and look at all the requirements there, they can request an unlimited amount of waivers to those standards, as long as those standards would prevent them from building at 36 units per acre, as I used in the example. And our ability to say no there is very limited. As a result, we're going to see projects that are higher and look different than what we've had in the affordable project. One on the books, I believe, is at 5 stories. That's coming down the pike for design review. And another one is at 4. And they can be in areas and adjacent to other housing types. And that transition will probably be a little more abrupt than we'd like. It's going to be a big issue for the community to deal with. Edith talked about the housing conversations that are starting. Edith, correct me, I believe there are 4 Wednesdays starting May 19th, June 2nd, June 16th, and June 23rd in front of city council meetings. It's important for the community. I believe the chamber should be interested, along with all the residents, in what is in. The city set up a new website for the conversation. I could read it exactly. It's a lot of numbers. The quick way to get it to it is Morgan Hill, the city website, city departments, development services, housing, and look for a link or a spot called Housing Conversation and click on that. These conversations are really important because we need to communicate with the community about what is coming and what restrictions are on what we can and can't do. Some cities have tried to fight it, and they've paid a really huge price in the initial lawsuits. There's very little case law yet on this, but the ones that have happened have went for the developer and against the city, and it's been very expensive in some cases. So this will sort of lay a groundwork for the housing element comes up with the new arena numbers that are coming out and finalized. Initially, our numbers look not easily done, but doable. They're a lot less. It's a lot less than what we could have been hit with and what other cities have been hit with. But it will take some work to get there. And there's a lot of new rules and a lot of new requirements on the housing element. The second thing that we dealt with was design permits, or sometimes they're referred to as design reviews. The Planning Commission will be seeing more of those. And as I indicated before, in the case of housing projects, residential projects, what we can really suggest, and they're really suggestions to the developer, are asked for is somewhat limited, especially on affordable projects. The other thing that's happening is we're starting to see market rate projects that have inclusionary housing into them request waivers, because under current state law, they can get waivers. So that was the whole long discussion of our last meeting. It's a really important topic that's going to be front and center in front of a lot of people. And a lot of people are going to be asking why and how come. And the last of my bullets or warnings a little bit is we haven't seen exactly at what pace they may come at us, but they could come at us very quickly, right? Not only do we have the big apartment complex on Butterfield that's entitled and getting ready to build, we have these two large 100% affordable projects that are going to look quite different that are coming along very quickly. And at least we were told last night or Tuesday night that staff believes these projects will get, when they get funded, will move fairly quickly because they're under some time crunches. I will stop there and be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Joe. I know one of those low-income projects is right across the street from Pyramid, so
Yes.
we're definitely interested.
Yes.
Juan, our other planning commission commissioner.
Hi.
You got a question?
Yes. Thank you, Rick. Good morning, everybody. Apologies for being off camera. I have a very, very mobile, very opinionated toddler that I'm trying to keep up with. So I just wanted to add a couple of comments to Joe's really extensive review of what we discussed in the commission. And that was that I put the link to the website in the chat for you all. The easiest way to find it is to literally Google Morgan Hill conversation. What's the other piece of it? Anyway, the housing conversation. You can just find it. It's the first search result. The second thing I wanted to add just very briefly to everything that Joe mentioned is that with this density bonus, something to keep in mind is that these 100% affordable projects would have been able to do this with or without our growth ordinance because they're exempt from it. So it's just a small note to make in there that this is not necessarily just because of the new state laws that kind of open the floodgates. This would have been allowed even with our growth ordinance. So, and that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Juan.
Rick, could I add one
Yes.
a little bit, a couple other things? I think there's a couple of things that we need to really start looking at in terms of what's happening. One, we've got a new car dealership in town, which is great, but I'm not sure if that isn't the last car dealership site in that pre-set up dealership PD. Where's the next car dealership going to go if it isn't? So I think that's a question we need to start pre-planning, because we've been really successful with the program of having that set up, attracting them, but there's a limited amount of site right there. And I'm not sure, Edith or John probably know, if this last dealership takes up the last site or there's one more. Either way, we need to start looking. And I'm going to be on the optimistic side and assume for a second that Trammell Crow, that has two sites, is going to be really successful and build the kinds of buildings we want and attract the kind of companies we want. Where's the next industrial site after that? Because if Trammell Crow builds those two sites out, that takes almost 50 acres of land out. Okay, where is the next one, right? And especially since the north end of town is our favorite spot to try to do this, or most attractive spot. Where is the next industrial park? With that,
And Edith, you might be able to contribute, plus you have your hand up there. So you want to?
I don't know that I am ready to go. Where's the next industrial park? If you look at the land, there is not that much industrial land that is sizable for a business park. There's just not. I mean, we are really at the tail end. John can correct me. I had my hand up for a couple of reasons. I wanted, just because we're an industrial. The Trammell Crow project is coming back to the Planning Commission on May 25th, right, Joe and Juan? I believe it's May 25th. It's only for design
Yeah.
review. This is for the Redwood Tech. It's only design review. The purview of the Planning Commission is very narrow. The project is fully in conformance with the city's general plan and zoning. As you know, Trammell Crow, after that challenge with the neighborhood, decided to pull back and redo their plan in a way that they're essentially not asking the city for anything and staying within the short and narrow of the zoning and the general plan. And the downside of that, if one, maybe not big enough, is that they were going to do this major telco tower that we thought would be of benefit to the neighborhood, to the city, and is one of the things that we're not getting in their new plan. But that project, Planning Commission, May 25th. On the housing projects, while we are getting all these housing projects that might be challenging, I want to remind us, there is your car dealership calling me, Joe. The next car dealership is next to the Chrysler, just so you know. But you're absolutely right. We need to figure out what is the campaign to attract more car dealerships. On the housing, just to ground ourselves with a couple of thoughts. While we are getting these big projects coming in that are changing the face and the look of Morgan Hill, I want to remind us that I think affordable housing is like a family of four that makes $182,000. Affordable housing is all of us. Affordable housing is our city workers, our nurses, our teachers. I just want to make sure that we demystify what is affordable housing. We as a community have also made a choice, and I'm looking for the number right now from my teammate in planning. The majority of our land is single family homes. San Jose, as an example, 95% of the land in San Jose, the residential land, 95% of the residential land is single family homes. So what does that mean? That there's very small places where things are going to go up and tall. So here as a community, I think we are not very different in the sense that the majority of our land is single family home, and therefore the places where those bigger projects are going to come in, we know where they're going to come in, and that is somewhat by our own design. And I do believe that that is part of the conversation that is coming to us, especially as the state is continuing to kick around the thought of removing single family home going forward. Is that going to really change the neighborhood? No, everything is built out already. But the question at hand for us is we are going to grow taller. And where do we want to grow taller? And how do we do it in a way that is integrated, inclusive, and respectful of our neighborhoods? I'm done. Sorry about that.
Okay. Thank you, Edith and Joe and Juan. Good conversation. Obviously, conversation that needs to continue. Steve, an update for the school district, and we're going to probably go at least 5 minutes over time here, just for everybody.
Thanks so much. Really, thank you, David and Tracy. I know that you may have been staying on a little bit longer for this, so I really appreciate it. Hopefully it will be fruitful for you and the rest of us. So my father was the department chair and professor at San Jose State for 34 years. I grew up and was weaned in his lab, his wood shop, which he did. And, you know, I really have a love for the industry. And I wanted to mention a couple of things about that. But also just give an update, and I'm available for questions, but graduations are moving along for the school district, and we are going to do 2 cohorts at each school. There's going to be an early graduation and a later graduation at the comprehensive high schools, and 150 kids together, and each kid gets 4 tickets to have their family members or friends or whoever go to the graduation, all grouped in, and we're excited about that. We'll be live streaming it as well, so grandma in New York can watch their child's or their grandson or granddaughter graduate. It'll be, besides being streamed, it'll be recorded and available on the website. Again, thank you, the City of Morgan Hill, for opening up the street downtown with the banners that will be paid for the students to have their photos lining the streets, a tradition that started last year and will continue on year after year. The Rotary Club of Morgan Hill has adopted that as a annual budget segment in their budget and have approved that. And so those banners are being created. They'll be put up again. Larry Carr, that was a discussion. I remember us standing talking about that idea. And so thank you for, promoting that. We're excited about the parade. That'll be again Saturday. A little bit different than last year because everything was virtual. Now we are doing in-person and virtual, and with the presence of the community that'll be there to cheer all the kids on, not just Morgan Hill Unified School District high schools, but all the high school kids will be able to participate, the privates as well. So also wanted to mention that everybody knows I'm sure the 12 to 15-year-old Pfizer approval by the FDA is going to enable parents to bring their kids to get those vaccines. We have modified our vaccine clinic that is actually Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. That is the second dose clinic for the 16 to 19-year-olds that we put together. They had the first dose 3 weeks ago. The timing was perfect. We actually enhanced and brought in, thanks to Safeway, again, with Larry Carr's support, that we've enhanced that to include 12 to 15-year-olds. So we've added doses for this weekend. At last check, last night, all those new appointments have filled up. So I've got a check-in with the Yasminda, who is our link to Albertson Safeway pharmacies, who's actually providing the vaccines, to see if we could even escalate that to more doses for this weekend, because we're getting actual calls, requests saying, I can't get on, I can't get on. So that's just about that. The last thing I wanted to talk about was the manufacturing industry. And if possible, Brittany, I'd like to share my screen. If I'm allowed, let me try. Not yet. Okay. Let me go to this. And am I sharing yet? Okay. How about this?
Yes.
Okay, that should look appealing to most all of you. Those are donated stacks of wood in a new storage area behind Live Oak. So we've got this guy who's been around for quite some time, actually went to schools in Morgan Hill Schools, CJ Gallart, and he's a teacher. He was a social studies teacher when the position of the CTE, Career Tech Ed, used to be known as Voc Ed, used to be known as ROP. There's all sorts of names. We change it all the time, but he's teaching and jumped on the wood shop classes and the construction trades. So he invited me by a couple weeks ago, and I snapped some shots of what he's done. He went to training on the East Coast for doing modules. And I'll talk a little bit about that. And this is a great synergy with the presentation today. I'm just gonna scroll through. Oh, how do I do this? I think. Okay. I hope this is the classroom with the kids in person, learning construction trades. And you can see some of the stuff in these photos here. I'm gonna, let's see. How do I? Oh, I see. Okay, here we go. Probably the very same types of classes that we'll see over at the Union Building. And this is just, you know, little projects. I am really incompetent with technology.
Steve,
Yeah.
when you pull up the picture, I think there's a right hand arrow that'll let you keep going forward, so you can try that.
Oh,
See it
it's
right there?
hidden. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I had to move my little, you all were hiding my arrow. Thanks, Brittany. So this picture I wanted to show in particular, if you look back behind this rolling door here is another room, and he's doing a subflooring project. These kids are working on a subflooring project in there. So what this module system does is it puts the kids through each of the areas, concrete, drywall. They've also added a 3D printer so that they can make parts that are unusual for different types of projects and molding and everything else. And so that's, let me skip that. Now I have to move my little picture again. I'm gonna just minimize you all. Okay, now I can do better. All right, so he's got a whole section on weatherization. He's got a section on new technology for laser cutting and such. So I'm going to move from that to this. This was our new class that we just approved on the last board meeting, Tuesday, and a week ago, Tuesday. And so this is our construction 2. And tell me if you could see that. I'm scrolling. I'm hoping you can see it. I can't see you if you're nodding, so I need.
Yes,
verbal.
we can see it.
Thank you. Okay, this is the course overview, which aligns totally with the new building that is over there. And by the way, the Madrone Parkway, which I use as my throughway, not my parkway, I get to watch that building go up and all the stuff. And it's just fantastic what you guys are doing over there. David and Tracy, thanks so much. So the course content is really probably in line with all the classes there. So these kids will come out with design concept, the general understanding of plans and procedures, weatherization in their second unit. This new class will be starting this next year. Foundations and floor systems, like I talked about, wall and roof framing. It's got all the project assignments, cabinetry, concrete and masonry, exterior finishing and finished carpentry, small house construction. They actually have a section in there that they're building a small house with all the components of it, the windows, the venting, the inside systems, the wiring, and then it goes on and on. So we just approved this project. It would be ideal to partner with the Union Trades, with you, David. I want to put, if you haven't already talked with CJ, because he's such a go-getter, I want to put him in touch with you. And this is at Live Oak. We've enhanced the building, and I'll just stop there. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing and take any questions that you might have about this or anything else.
Okay, questions for Steve? David?
Yeah, that's very exciting. I really appreciate you sharing that with us. It made me think about when I was going to high school. I got involved in architecture through the drafting courses, and that was my entry into the industry. But that syllabus that you presented walking students through the process of building a basic building, a small house. That's the initial building block for, going into many different directions. So I think that's really exciting, and getting that basic knowledge, is the springboard to other things. And so, yeah, that's great. And yeah, definitely reach out, and I think through Brittany, you can get our contact information.
Great.
And sorry, Tracy lost power at her house. So, but I think she's able to hear what's going on right now on the meeting. So she's still on the meeting. But yeah, that's really an exciting program. And those modules that you showed are really, we were working with the IBEW, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and at their training center, they have similar modules, how parts of their education curriculum is set up in modules to go through different aspects of the trade. So yeah, so thank you for sharing, and thanks for asking for us to hang on.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And Armando.
Yeah, Steve, it's a great shop. I love it. High school, that was all around too back then. My question is there a pathway, or is it going to be accessible to the Central High students?
Yes. Of course, Central High students are not out of the comprehensive school because of discipline or anything like that. It's usually based on the need to do some credit recovery, but also on a different pathway with more individualized assistance. The CTE programs are ideal for students that fall into categories that academically they're not, in line with other students, or marginalized for one reason or another. And so getting back into the comprehensive school is a pathway, but also when they get back into a comprehensive school, this is one of the areas that might be more enticing for them. So they're not prevented from taking classes, but it has to fit in with the schedule. And for centralized schools, their schedules are more modified. They're not required to take the 220 units. They can take the 180 unit pathway and earn a full high school diploma through Central. And by taking less units and less time during the day, many of our Central High School students work, but also can take the extracurricular activities at the other schools. And then they could also participate in additional classes. So this is ideally the type of class, but this is not, there is a prerequisite class in the pathway that they would have to take as well.
Okay, any other questions? David, your hand's up. Do you have?
Yeah, I just got a message from Tracy. She'll reach out to someone at Carpenters to make contact. So I just wanted to relay that message.
Fantastic. And one of the things that I know CJ likes to do is have people in the field actually come in and talk with the kids about, like yourself, what enticed you, what was your pathway, so that they could actually meet and see this and visualize it for themselves.
Yeah, and when I was in high school, precisely those types of presentations, I remember, architects and contractors coming into class and sharing, their experiences and how to get into the industry.
Yeah, I really like what you said about the education level being, really a variety, because this class here is a through G class. It qualifies as a college credit, working toward the college entry. A through G are the expectations for the CSU system and the UC system. And so it is qualified, and there are certain standards that make it qualified for the college credit class that go to that. So it probably aligns with your apprenticeship program as well.
I see the little kid.
Well,
Hey.
great. Any other questions? Brittany?
Just a comment before we close the meeting. I see John Lang is still on. Are you still there, John? This is John's last meeting. I've already cried a little bit. My trash can is full of tissues, but just wanted to say thank you so much, John, for all of the effort you've put in. You've been such a wonderful champion for Morgan Hill, a wonderful champion for the students and the businesses, especially with all of the effort for Manufacturing Day. And for me personally, you've helped grow me professionally, and I look forward to continuing our friendship in the future and wish you the very best of luck.